tout le monde, bienvenue pour l'autre émission en Koze. Je dis c'est une émission spéciale. Toute émission est toujours spéciale, mais je dirais spécialement spéciale. L'amour pas de barrière. Nous avons des phrases ça tout temps. Love has no boundaries. So je dis émission c'est ça nous parler. Moi j'ai avec deux guests qui dans show aujourd'hui. Bien yon qui physiquement dans studio, l'autre là dans téléphone. Parce que en pile nous t'es gâtant web flyers, yon gâtant connaît, c'est une histoire d'amour, c'est une love story n'a célébrer. Nous avons une question pour coupe ça. Et me dit merci parce que yo choisi pour yo partager histoire avec nous. Nous avons un téléphone là avec nous Amos Don qui est un jeune haïtien qui est actuellement dans prison, mais la vie va continuer, la vie va vivre, li joindre un monde qui remet en pile qui a planifié pour partager vie ensemble, mais il y a un pilote baraki Amos a fait, et je pense que ils sont sous encouragement pour un pile monde. So Amos, can you hear me?
Non, clair.
OK, je vais laisser checker créole mais Amos fait montre li montre qu'il parle créole très bien. Bienvenue dans En Koze Amos.
Comment nous y est tout le monde? Comment nous y est?
Tout le monde a attendu, vous saluer tout le monde kounya?
Oui. Tout le monde attendait comment nous y est, vous saluer nous. Bien content aujourd'hui à notre téléphone avec le peuple haïtien, avec tout le monde qui suit BCN. Comment nous y est encore, comment nous y est. Vous voyez l'amour by tout le monde.
Oh, merci Amos. So, n'a commencé parce que, and do you mind if we do it in English or Creole? Which one do you prefer?
Tout les bon.
To let it, okay. So, because I know some people are watching, they're non-Creole speakers, so I'll go back and forth too. Some of the audience had a chance to meet Joanna last year. A lot of my super fans, were fascinated by the story, and I know you guys were shocked that people were asking questions. They want to know more. So, when Joanna was with us, she mentioned that you guys had known each other as children, but then weren't necessarily in a relationship. But then, what you reconnected through email or a letter. So, what made you decide to reach out to Joanna? Is my first question.
Well, the inside of that is the part where too much people don't see. Is one day I was at work in here, obviously incarcerated.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting and having a dialogue with one of my constituents that was working, and then we was just talking about just who in this world can be thinking about us right now as far as love, because he was actually married.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had such a difficult time with his wife, and then because he was married from the streets and came in. So I told him that, do you think she's thinking about you at this moment? And then he said, yeah, she is. And I said, wow, so who can be thinking about me? I questioned myself, and then I said, you know what, there's actually two people in this world that I believe can be thinking about me right now. And then when I thought about my mother,
Mm-hmm.
and then the second woman I thought about was like, Joanna might be one of them thinking about me too. And that's how that ignited the spark.
And what was it about Joanna that made you think she was thinking about you at that time?
Because at that moment, I thought about, okay, every female that I was with, and then I shared with, so there was a negative side, obviously, out of not being mature enough. So at that moment, that could have caused one to not be thinking about me. But Joanna, since she was young, and I always knew like she loved me, or she had a crush on me. And there was no negative story to it.
Okay.
So the only thing was to think about the positive. Because that's the only thing that was still alive.
Okay.
So,
and how were you feeling about Joanna at that time?
So at that time, I thought about, okay, Joanna hasn't been a woman in my life for a long time because of, as far as the church goes, and I haven't seen her in a long time. So I was wondering, where can that lead us? Where can we start?
Okay.
And in the moment I actually thought about us being together, it seemed like it was like destined. So there was no doubt in my mind. I didn't have a doubt, just to say, because I knew where she stood if I
Okay.
called.
Okay. But what were your feelings? That's what I'm interested in, because we know Joanna's feelings, but when you decided to
Okay.
write her, was it
Okay.
more you were looking for friendship, or did you in your heart think, okay, this is the woman for me?
I was looking for a wife.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, I was looking for a wife. Um, at that time, I was matured. I was having mature conversations.
Okay.
Like I said, to illustrate the picture again, I was actually having a conversation with a married man. So to
Mm-hmm.
me, it was at that moment I wanted to feel that. I wanted to be that. I wanted to be that man to say that I have a wife, thinking about me.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
so the that part, I wanted to know that. I wanted to have that feeling.
Okay. And I think that's beautiful. So, with the current circumstances right now, I know we don't have much time. I wanted to touch upon some of the things that worries you, or some of the things that you're thinking that creates more difficulty in your relationship at the moment.
Open the door. The door's open.
The door's open. Listen, you can't come on Uncozy and not expect to be put in the hot seat.
Yes. It's open. Let's go.
So, what are some of those difficulties that you worry about, and how are you guys able to kind of overcome those things?
Well, to me, that is not a difficulty. So
Okay.
that's pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much, I don't see it as a difficulty because I definitely have a spirit,
Okay.
and I know many people knows that men, have these things they call, wet dreams. So
Okay.
now I can illustrate pictures
Okay.
that can create that romance.
Okay. 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 We'll leave it there. So, now I'm being asked pour nous parler plus créole. So, je connais ou bien pour
Yeah.
aller tout à l'heure, mais brefement, pour moun qui parle créole, on parle de qui j'en connexion, qui ça que te faut décider écrit Johanna. Parce que actuellement, on même on en prison Johanna là, mais nous venons connecter et qu'on y a nous fiancés. So, qui ça que te faut décider? Si vous voulez dire le créole, pour moun qui parle créole yo.
So, ça te fait me décider pour m'écrire Joanna, c'est parce que moi j'ai besoin d'une madame. Et pas madame comme girlfriend, boyfriend, c'est en madame mariée, j'ai besoin. J'ai besoin en bon Dieu béni avec en madame qui a aidé à joindre force avec pour moi-même qui a joindre un sens de responsabilité
Mhm.
avec tout le monde. Dès qu'à penser de c'est Joanna devine dans la tête moi, so me devine penser ça comme une bénédiction. Et moi même dérélé, moi écrit Joanna dérélé back et là ça papillon a commencé dans ventre moi, arrivé dans cœur.
Oh, I love that. So, je ne sais pas si combien de temps était toujours. Qui j'en saté l'autre les parents Johanna pour dire le besoin de demander le mariage? Qui j'en été réagi? Parce que je connais ses parents haïtiens yo.
Yes, so papa t'es content.
You have 1 minute left.
Il était venu, il parlait avec moi, il demandé, et il était fait m'écrire dans ce sens-là, pour qui ça. So, il était déjà qu'on aime, so nous t'ai parlé depuis là, nous t'ai petit monde, so il était déjà qu'on aime. So, les moi t'ai parlé avec le petit Davel, il était bon, on va facile, mais moi t'ai fait. Après ça, l'idée au monde qui était venu respecter ça et les accepter.
OK. Mais est-ce que
Yeah.
ou même ou pas de peur, ou bien qui j'ont été fait ou t'es obligé de convaincre yo? Nous connaissons pas le temps presque fini.
Yeah. Moi, n'ai pas besoin de faire ça. Parce que
Okay.
l'idée, lui-même, approche pas l'idée, l'idée connaît qui est, moi, ça
Okay.
t'es besoin, ouais, l'idée besoin, moi, ouais, si, moi, t'es changé.
Okay.
So, l'idée voulait vite, ouais, si m'était même Amos, l'idée connaît comme un petit monde, parce que ça, image, ça t'est dans la tête.
Thank you
Okay.
for using Secure it.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Ok, so, nap di Amos merci paske l te pran tan sa pou l pala ave nou. Excuse ou dias lan, nou te komanse yon ti jan pi bonheur, men ou konen fon te fe travay teknik yo. Men mpase an pil moun te tande, nou tande vo Amos, nou kontan tande vo Amos, koun yan a fe restan pala avek Joanna, pou lou ba nou histwa lanmou yo, ki plan yo gen pou futur lan, e ki jan sa tout bagay ap mache koun ya. Welcome. Joanna plus pale anglais. Na vese fon ti pale kreol, but Joanna plus pale anglais. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. How was this for you, having him be shared with the world right now and talking about, reaching out to you and wanting a wife? How are you feeling at the moment?
I love it. I mean, he could have left certain things out, but
hey, it's on Koze.
but it's real. It's real. That's who we are, and I appreciate that you even have us here.
Absolutely. Now, I'm sure he had already shared the story with you as far as like why he reached out. Was there anything that was different that the way he shared with us, or was there anything that you learned that you didn't know before?
Well, it's exactly what he said. As far as he got to a certain point in his life where it wasn't about boyfriend, girlfriend, and talking with someone who's married, and how that person is also in prison with him, but he's seen that there's something in his life that's missing that he needs in his life. So then that's where, he decided at that moment, like, he needs a wife. But then, because I even asked him, like, why me? So then, he said that he knows for sure, like, he knew how I felt about him. And so with knowing that, he was confident knowing that I would be that person that was thinking of him, which I was. But
so from the last show that we did, and I had mentioned to you, I got a lot of questions. People were kind of pushing, you should have asked this, you should have asked that. And then I kind of explained that obviously I'm grateful that you want to share your story, but I also want to be respectful to your story and preserve, that piece of it. But one of the questions that people have asked is why? Why you're out here, you have your freedom, you're an attractive young lady, you could find any man on the street right now, so why him while he's not here? I know it's a loaded question. And I already told you, any question I asked, if you don't feel comfortable answering, you don't have to.
No,
but,
the
audience want to know.
I have an answer for it.
Yeah.
Because, I've had, plenty of people ask me the same question. And then the main thing that, like, is literally, like, pumping through my heart and my blood is that I know what a good man feels like being with him. Because I've had past relationships that were not good. And not saying that those people were bad, but they weren't the relationship for me. I wasn't my best self in those relationships. Granted, he is in jail. I'm out. I could have any guy I want. I'm not being like conceited, but what I mean is that there's options to be with somebody who's out rather than somebody who's in. But for me, I just feel like he's the only man that I want to be with. He's the only one that I see is for me. He's the one I feel like God put on this earth to push me to be my best self. Somehow, some way, all the way from prison, he pushes me to be my best self. Like, I see myself doing things I would have never thought possible before.
Wow.
So
I love that. So let's go back to, because last year we talked, you guys weren't engaged. Now you're engaged. And I know we were sharing some of the pictures of the actual engagement. Like, walk me through how you got to that day.
That day was a crazy day. So, like, he wanted to meet with my dad. It was my birthday, June 28th. And so he wanted my dad to come visit him. So I'm thinking, just to have the man-to-man talk, because, the last communication they had was a letter that he wrote to my parents telling them, like, I want to talk to her. I want her to be my woman, but, like, with the idea or with the mindset of being married in the future.
So wait, before you guys decided you were in a committed relationship, he asked your parents?
Before we even made it official.
Oh, wow.
He sent a letter to them to let them know he wants to be the man of my life. And he is talking to me with the mindset of being married in the future, like, to be together in the future. So then, just to be respectful on his side. So then, fast forward to the day that he proposed, which was last July 25th.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So he planned it all out, which I really had no idea. His mom passed away like 2 years ago. So she wasn't able to be there. But his father came and his oldest sister came. And so when I went to the prison, because I'm thinking that it's just going to be me, my dad, and like his, you know, I knew like I thought it was just going to be my dad, my mom, and then just us. So then I'm coming in the parking lot, and then I see his older sister and his dad, and I'm just like, and I was on the phone with him. I was like, I see about your dad and your sister. I think we double booked because.
Now, how many people can he have visit at the same time?
I believe it's 3 adults at once. And then if they have kids, then it's, you know, whatever number of kids you have, just as long as they're under a certain age, but it's 3 adults the max. So he actually spoke with the administration of the prison to allow for an extra person to come in. So that way there were 4 adults instead of just 3.
Okay.
So
well, there were 5 because his mom and dad was there.
Oh no, it was just his dad and his oldest sister.
Okay. What about the picture? How did you guys get the picture?
So they have someone inside in the prison, the visiting room, that like takes pictures of people, whoever wants to take a picture. They have like a whole setup with the backdrop and everything, so you can take a picture.
But in the picture, his mom and dad are there. His sister.
In the picture, it's my mom and
your
my
mom
dad,
and dad, his sister,
and then his sister and his dad,
and then you.
And
so
then
they
me.
allowed all 5 of you to be inside.
They allowed all of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Because he went and set that up before I could even know anything about it.
Had your parents visited, like, had gone to see him before in the past, before the engagement?
Before the engagement, my dad went and visited him on July 28th because Amos had asked my dad, told me, I need your dad to come. I want to, sit down with him. It's time we have a talk because, we've been in a relationship this long. So, I need to talk to dad. But I, by no means at all, thought that he was asking my dad to marry me. I didn't know that at all. I even asked the guard lady, I was like, oh yeah, my dad's over there. I got to sit over here. But, if you hear anything, tell me. She didn't tell me anything, but that was okay. But so they came, we went inside. I still was clueless. I'm thinking that, okay, well, I guess we're going to have the conversation about our relationship in front of everybody, which is that we love each other. So then that's all I thought that was going to happen. Because we all know each other. We grew up like around each other, so we're aware of who each other is. So we all used to go to the same church.
Okay.
So
then once you guys all got, in the same room, and he got on his knees.
We went to go take a picture.
Okay.
Because everybody was just, fait connaissance avec une l'autre, and then embrasser, like parler, and then. I thought that it was like just about done. Like, okay, we're going to go take pictures. And I'm thinking, okay, we did the group picture with everybody together. So in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, next rotation, let's get all the guys to take a picture. Next thing you know, I see Amos go on one knee. I'm like, why are you tying your shoelace now? Why are you picking this moment to tie? We got to take pictures and go.
Wait, you thought he was tying his shoes? I can't.
Yes, I thought he was tying his shoes. And then he turned around.
Okay.
He didn't get up. He just turned around, and then he had this in his hand.
Okay, we want the audience to see the creativity.
So this is the ring.
This is the ring that he proposed with. I don't know if Dominique can zoom on this. I don't know, how did the influencers do it on social media?
That's how they do it.
Dominique, can you see it? So did he make this?
One of the inmates actually made it.
Okay, what is this made out of?
I believe it's string.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's special. And there's some tape on there too?
Yeah, they taped it to kind of laminate it.
Listen, that's very thoughtful.
It is.
Okay.
I was surprised.
Okay.
So he turned around, proposed. I feel bad because he's proposing, he's saying all these things. I'm in shock that it's even happening. So I think the blood was rushing to my head or something.
Okay.
And then, he said, will you marry me? And I'm like, yes. And then, it was from there. It's just where it is today.
Well, that's great. So your parents actually said, you have my blessing to propose to my daughter.
They did.
That to me is fascinating. I don't know of many Haitian parents who would be willing to do that, but I think that's more of a just their own respect for you and love for you, that they're thinking this is what you're choosing, so they're behind it. So I think I admire them for that. So now, what does life look like? You're engaged, but he's still incarcerated. What does like life look like right now for you?
We're still doing the same things,
Okay.
you know, like we do events where, you know, I and myself and we are like speaking about, you know, what we're concerned about, pretty much his freedom, joint venture theory, which is another group that I'm a part of, and which is pretty much trying to abolish the joint venture theory that could incarcerate somebody for just being present and not having any participation in the crime, just being there. So we're part of, there's other inmates who are in prison for that as well. So, you know, I do a lot as far as going around trying to bring awareness to who Amos is and his purpose. And, you know, I'm also working on my own things as well and trying to get my business started, which is called NanoFit, because I want to open a NanoFit gym in Mattapan.
I think I love that. So I want at least some of the folks who are just tuning in today or who might not be familiar with the story, and I'll say it in Creole. So pour moun kap gade jodi an, qui pas nécessairement familier avec histoire là, so m'a parlé avec Joanna Célestin qui c'est une jeune dame qui remet, non seulement qui remet, qui fiancée avec un jeune homme qui actuellement en prison. Si tu es branché dans le commencement show, tu as des voix Amos qui est en prison actuellement, lui a un life sentence. Hopefully that's gonna change. But Joanna avec Amos décidé pour yo l'amour pas gen barrière. So, bien content parce que yo choisi pour partager histoire avec nous. So, m'de besoin ba nous un petit background histoire là. C'était deux jeunes monde qui étaient kon l'autre là était petit dans l'église et puis Amos vient dans prison et puis il vient connecter et puis comme ça l'amour vient grandir. Was that a good summary?
That was perfect.
Thank you. So we all know too, while Amos is incarcerated, he does a lot of different things. So Amos is a published author.
Yes.
He has 3 books. So I hadn't seen this one. It's called Trumpet Break. That's one. And then we have the book of poetry. I'm sorry if this is making noise because I think the mic is on. And then this is My Blue Days Sound Like Blue Jays. And he also has a children's book. Which I was very impressed by. So, and all these are available on Amazon. So I even love all the pictures in the books. So if you guys are interested, Amos pendant li nan prison, li écrit 3 livres. Livre ça son livre Timon. So en pile livre yo ka jwenn on Amazon, so sou intéressé. So, another question that the audience wanted to know that I didn't ask last time was mainly the focus on intimacy. So your man is behind bars. So what does that look like for you?
There's a lot of poetry.
Girl, please. Girl, come on.
That's the PG version.
So how is there a possibility for you guys to get intimate at all? Or is that something
No.
we don't have?
Massachusetts doesn't allow conjugal visits.
Okay.
So we don't have, I wouldn't want him to go anywhere else just for that.
Yeah.
But, you know.
So you guys are able to hug and hold hands?
Yes, we can hug, we can kiss, we can hold hands.
Okay.
We're sitting in a visit, we're holding hands the whole entire time. They have their rules, so it's pretty much just limited to that.
Okay. And how often do you see him?
So there was a period of time when I wasn't working, so I was literally there almost every day, all day.
Yeah.
Like the visiting hours go from like 1 p.m. till we're supposed to leave at like 8:20. They have everyone leave. So I would stay there all day. Then COVID happened, which was really hard during COVID, because around that time, during COVID is actually when I finally got a job. So then because I was working, 40 hours a week now, the time that I can go see him is way less, which also hurt. But, life is life. You got to pay your bills. So at that time during COVID, they were only allowing visits an hour at a time. And then, so it was like going from being with him all day, then automatically COVID hits 1 hour, if maybe 2 to 3 times a week. And then they bumped it up to 2 hours. Now that things are kind of back to normal, I can actually go and see him like all day.
All day, yeah.
But right now he's in school because they have an EPI program at Emerson College.
Okay.
They started it at Brown, but now it's been transitioned over to Emerson. The professors actually enroll students.
Okay.
So they have I think they allow about 100 applicants.
Okay.
And they go down to, for his class, they go down to 20. So out of 100, they pick 20. And then those 20 get the opportunity to get their bachelor's degree.
Okay.
And it's specifically in communications.
That's
and
perfect.
bachelor's degree in communications and a minor in economics. So that's what he's doing now, which is perfect for him because it's a lot of writing and reading. And, you know, he already writes. So it's like right in his lane and him learning more and expanding more. So now our visits are even less because
Because
he
he's in
needs,
school.
exactly.
And you're also trying to start a business.
Exactly.
So what does marriage look like for someone who is currently incarcerated and you're out here? How are you guys envisioning this life?
Trying to envision it the best way we can, like in a positive light. It's not going to be like your everyday, like someone who's out here, and because I have siblings that are married and they have kids, but the reality is that, you know, I won't have the opportunity for us to even, you know, think about having kids until, you know, he's released, God willing. That is the plan, you know, and I'm praying that's God's plan as well. So, you know, for me to be his wife, it would just be the same as what it is now. Because I feel like
do you feel like that's enough for you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Okay. So I know you mentioned about his release, and we didn't really touch a lot on the case per se last time. But is there a possibility? Are you able to tell us if there's potential appeals going on?
There is an appeal
Okay.
that is going on right now. So
Okay.
that's about the most I can say.
That's the most
But
you can say.
we're just, if anyone else who's listening, if they could also be in prayer too, that God, you know, moves whoever needs to be moved. So that way, you know, Amos has a possibility of coming out. And it's not just so that I can have him to myself, because yes, I am selfish. I want him all to myself. But at the same time, I feel like, you know, this time around with us being in a relationship where we are right now, I feel like I'm seeing him in a whole different light as someone who has such a role that he could play or is playing in the community for our Haitian community, not just, you know, any other race or any other, you know. I feel like Amos is very proud of his Haitian culture. And even from where he is, like, that was the reason why he wrote the book Rainbow Terrace.
Oh yeah, somebody asked about the title of the children's book, so it's called Rainbow Terrace.
Rainbow
if you can
Terrace.
See it. I should go over there. Why am I looking at the wrong thing? This is where it is. And somebody also wanted to see the ring again. I should have put it toward the camera over there. So let's do that. You guys are nosy. So this is the ring. And okay, so another question that people asked me was, do you, and I feel like I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyways, do you at any point feel that because of the situation, then the relationship has been close to perfect? It's kind of like when you're in a long distance relationship, you only have such short time with each other, so everything is always rosy. But then when you're actually, let's say he does get released, then that's when the challenges start. Do you worry about that? That right now this is such a honeymoon stage because he's not here close to you?
I think that's definitely a perspective that people can have. I think in the beginning, I was kind of still like, oh, you know, this is great. You know, I love you, you love me, la-di-da. No. No, every relationship takes a lot of work. And, you know, with someone, this is why I feel like this relationship is different than my past relationships. And I know this is a relationship that is going to work and is working. Okay. Because, you know, I feel like the main thing that a lot of people struggle with in relationships is communication. And in our case, we have to start with that. Other people, they kind of do it backwards. They fall in love, they get into a relationship, then they focus on getting to know each other. But for us, communication is all we have. So we have no choice but to do our best to work at it constantly. And we bump heads because we're both very strong-minded people in our own way of how we want to do things. But the one thing that we do that resonates with the both of us and that we do feel strongly about is, you know, we do love each other. So if we love each other, we want to work on the things that we're uncomfortable with. Like for me, I'm not the best at communication, but I'm doing my best in this relationship because I love him that much. So, you know, and in having that communication with him and keeping up with that, it's making me a better person. So
Wow. And I think a lot of people, when you think about love, it's like you don't necessarily look for someone who's going to make you better.
Right.
But I think it's an added bonus when you do find someone who makes you just
want to be with
grow.
someone that you can be yourself with. Because, you know, after my past relationship, I completely lost myself. Like it probably took me 2 years to get myself back to me feeling like myself.
Do you feel like you did the work after your last relationship to kind of heal yourself before you got connected to Amos?
Yes.
Okay.
So after that relationship ended, and then Amos and I, it was finally like, oh, great, we're both in a position, we're not with anybody, let's finally. But I did not do the work on myself yet at that time. So we tried to hang in there for a year, then we broke up. We didn't communicate, talk, but nothing for a whole year. And then he reached out, and then that's when it just is where it is today.
People are still asking to see the ring, and I think Dominique now put the camera. No, you can hold it because he's going to zoom in on you so they can actually see it. People are really nosy. Or maybe they're feeling inspired because I think it's creative. So that is the ring that was presented to Joanna by her fiance, her love, Amos. I think it's very creative that he was able to get someone to do that. I think it's really thoughtful because, ladies, there's a lot of men out there and they're going to tell you they're so busy, they can't do this, they can't do that. But then you have someone who, in his circumstance, he could spend all the time thinking about his situation, but he's thinking about you and took the time to do this. I applaud him. So another question that we have from somebody watching saying, well, what happens if he's not released? I know you don't want to think about that, but that's a question they ask. What happens? So is it like for the rest of your life you're going to be celibate, and you have this husband that you can't really be intimate with?
I'm willing to do that. I know it sounds crazy, and I know for a lot of people, especially some, individuals where, they can't live life without being intimate with someone.
Yeah.
But intimacy is not just physical. And I know it's easy to say because we're in it right now. I'm in that relationship right now. I don't know how else to explain it except I just feel this very strong conviction about where the both of us stand with each other. And I'm comfortable knowing that, okay, well, if that is the fate, then I'm willing to go through it with him. And I don't care what anybody says.
Okay. And I think that's the right attitude because we can't live our lives, worrying about what others think. And I said to you earlier that, you will get the people having positive reactions. You'll also have people having negative reactions. I'm not someone that necessarily subscribe to negativity, but when it happens, you have to have a strong thick skin to be able to deal with that. Now, let's talk back about the family. And again, if I touch anything that you want to talk about, that's okay. How does your siblings or even your friends react to your decision to be in this relationship?
So it's different. It's a different dynamic only because they know him. So it's Amos is someone that we were all kids, in the church. And they all, like my siblings, they all know him, So it creates a different dynamic because they know him. But at the same time, because he's in prison, yes, they are concerned, because they like Amos, they love him. But at the same time, I'm their sister. I'm my parents' daughter. Like any parent would have the same reaction. Any sibling would have the same reaction. Like it's not bad. It makes me feel like I wish it was this, like fairy tale, whatever. Like everybody would just accept it. I wish it was that easy. But the reality is that there are certain things in life where people are going to be for. They may be against it. They love me, they support me in every decision I make, but at the end of the day, it's my decision, and I just need to show them that I'm gonna be okay, like we're gonna be fine, like there's nothing to worry about. As long as they know that I'm okay, then they're fine.
So there was another few opinions that I got from people from the last show, and I'm glad that they didn't. A lot of them were respectful. They didn't necessarily write it under, the actual show, so public to view, but they got a lot of inbox. And one of the views that people thought, that he's selfish because he's there and you're out here, and that he's keeping you, basically you're serving time with him. Mm-hmm. What do you say to those people?
I mean, someone doesn't need to be in prison to be serving time with them. You serve time with your husband that you're married to in your house.
Okay.
You serve time with your wife that you're married to in your house. You serve time with your kids that you're married to, that you have a life with. Mm-hmm. You could be in a relationship and marry somebody, and it's not the ideal relationship. But maybe you have that mindset that, well, I'm not going to get a divorce because I don't believe in it. That's a sentence.
Listen. That was the powerful response.
If you like it, if you don't like it, the reality is, it is what it is. Like, I am putting myself out there by putting my relationship on the front for everybody to see. But when I put and I knew that, putting myself out there, there are going to be positive opinions and there are going to be negative. The fact that people's minds is even working is enough for me. I'm okay with that. If you're thinking, then I think I've done my job.
Listen, I agree with you. Now, another question, besides the fact that I'm persistent when it comes to certain things, but what made you agree to even initially share your story with me on Koze?
I don't know. I feel like with you guys, you have created a platform and you're very welcoming. It's not the same, because I'm Haitian. But I was born here.
You're Haitian American.
Haitian American. Some might say I'm not really Haitian because my Creole is really bad or whatever.
You're Haitian. We're going to let you keep the card. You're Haitian.
Yeah, I had some early before I came. So, so I just feel very welcomed by you. I don't feel judged by this community that you guys have here. Like, I feel like it's very welcoming, and it's a space that I feel safe enough to be open.
And I appreciate it, like I said to you before, because I think it takes incredible courage. As someone myself, I'm very private. I don't necessarily want to share my life with people. I'm exposing myself more so now because Dominique forced me. But normally, things are private. So I think it takes a lot of courage because you're risking getting judged. By people watching, by people hearing your story, thinking what's wrong with her. Has anybody come up to you, or if people have said what's wrong with her? What is she mentally okay that she would do that? Hearing or thinking that people could say that, how does that impact you, or does it have any impact on you?
It doesn't have any impact at all. Last year, I was diagnosed with stage 1 colon cancer. I never thought that could ever happen to me. I'm too busy worrying about my dad, who's actually going through it himself. My uncle, who was with us at the time, he passed away, but a few months ago. But my uncle also had, colon cancer. His was stage 4. Mine was stage 1. After going through something like that, and then God removing that sickness from my body and me being clear, my focus is to change lives. My focus is to not listen to negativity. If you are still in that negative mindset, you will stay in that negative mindset and you will be where you're at. When your mindset changes, meet me where I'm at.
I love that. You're too busy living your life, doing things that are really having true impact on people to think about what other people are thinking, especially when it's negative.
God gave me another chance at life, so I just want to be able to use it the right way.
Well, I'm glad he did. I'm glad you're okay. Someone also asked, do you belong to any support group with others who are in relationships with folks who are currently incarcerated?
I wouldn't say like a support group, but going to the prison as often as I do, at first I didn't know anybody, and I'm a nice person. I'm open, but it might take me some time to get there because it's not like I don't like talking. It's just that I'm socially awkward and I can be a bit reserved. So I like to check people out first before I, talk to you. So going to the prison and then sitting in the room, and then now more so than before, I'm starting to talk with people more and, communicate. So I have numbers and there's people that I reach out to, like, just to say, hey, how you doing? Or they'll reach out to me just to say, how I'm doing, or check up on me. So we have formed our own
your
little
own support
community.
group. Okay.
Exactly.
I think that's great. Now, what does a wedding look like for you? Are you planning the wedding already? Or what's the plan? Am I invited? Can BCN be there?
I'm going to check up on that.
Okay.
I'm going to check because
I feel like people are invested. They want to know.
I'm going to check on that. I really am. But the wedding, it only allows for 3 people to be there. And 3 people, including myself. They have strange rules.
Listen, they made an exception for the engagement.
I know.
I feel like, the Haitian media want to share this love story. Maybe they would make an exception. I'm very convincing when I want something.
All right, Mama, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. But no, it would be great if they would allow you guys to be there, because then the viewers can, be able to see what that's like. But what it is, you have someone there, the official, whatever you call them, and then the visitors. So it would be just 2 other people.
Okay. How does, and I know this might be a little touchy point, how have you had conversation with your mom? And what are some of the things she shared with you about your engagement and this relationship?
My mom's concerned, because she's a mom. She, my parents love me like a great deal. My parents, they're not like your typical parents. I'll always be their daughter. I'm 39 years old, but to my mom, my dad, I'm still their child. So, they have their own strong opinions that they're standing by, and I respect it. But irregardless of the fact that our opinions are different, because they do want something different for me, even though they know Amos and they love him. But it's pretty much about, just the life that they always wanted for me to have, and
I'm assuming they want grandchildren, because I know Haitian parents, that's a big thing.
I mean, they got 7 already, but I'm
matter.
sure.
Even if they have 30,
I know.
They want each of their kids to have children. So,
they do.
How does that, when there's a possibility that you might not be able to give them grandchildren, is that something that you've kind of made peace with it, or?
I've made peace with it myself.
Okay.
Just because I feel like my mindset, and I think it's because of being diagnosed last year with cancer, my perspective, my view, my mission in life has changed. I want to be able to change lives more. I want to leave something behind. It's not necessarily about leaving a child to be like, okay, well, there's a piece of me that's still in the world, even though I'm gone. What I want to leave is the mission of, focusing on my work that I want to do and to put out into community, which is all about, for me, fitness is a really big thing, because it helped me get through and recover as quick as I did from, that diagnosis.
Well, let's talk about that, because I think from last time, we do spend a lot of time obviously talking about your love story, you and Amos, and we know that he's an author and now he's in school, but let's highlight a bit of you, and how did you get connected to fitness, and now you're deciding that you're going to open your own gym? Because I know some people might be encouraged by that.
So I've always been into fitness, but I've always been overweight because I love food. I can get up.
Who doesn't?
I'm a snacker. So I would get up in the middle of the night. I have a bump on my leg as proof as one of the midnight snacks I was trying to get.
Yeah.
But I was always overweight. And I've had times when I was like 25, I had lost weight, but then it came back again. So then I was in a very depressing state of life until, after I left that last relationship. And then I was just, I always thought about fitness. There was a hunger for it, but like the hunger for food was greater. So, and then, I didn't really, I didn't see anything in myself to be able to think that I was capable of, getting to that point in my life. So it just got to a point where I said, you know what, I really want to focus on my fitness and I want to be better, because I know that who I am inside, the outside doesn't reflect who I am on the inside. Because I know who I am, but it's not reflecting on the outside. So then, and those are conversations I used to have with Amos too. So he's very supportive in saying, hey, just do what you want to do. Like, what are you waiting for?
Was he instrumental in you getting healthier in your fitness journey?
He was instrumental in it.
Okay.
He definitely had a part in it. but there was already a big fire already burning inside of me for so long. So for me to finally get to that point where I was actually making some headway and actually doing it, but it helps when you have somebody that actually believes in you.
Absolutely.
That
Yes.
like is motivating you to keep going.
So as much as people might think that Amos is getting more from you, from what you're sharing with me, you feel like he gives you a lot too.
He does.
Okay.
He does. And I think anybody, you don't have to be in a relationship with someone in prison to feel like you're getting something out of that relationship. But when you know, you know. And it's not something that, I mean, if you've been through bad relationships or if you've been through enough time, you know, like being alone, then once you find that and you're able to, the thing is that before any of that, even the part about having a good relationship, my foundation, Amos and I's foundation is God, Jesus Christ. Like that is literally like, I can only give glory to God. And I know some people say, well, why are you giving glory to God for the situation like that? He's in jail, you're out. Like, where's God's glory in that? The glory is
That's a good question, yeah.
The glory of God is being in a dark place and somehow still being able to call Jesus' name. Because Amos was in a dark place. I was at a point in my life when I was in a dark place too. Coincidentally, both around the same time. But we just weren't communicating. We didn't know what was happening with each other. But we were both literally going through our worst times apart from each other, coincidentally around the same time. So there was a point where I was just like, all right, God. And I was driving. I said, God, you know what? I'm done with these ridiculous relationships. You know, I'm literally giving this my last try. I don't know who you have for me. I don't know if it's Amos. I don't know who it is. But Lord, whoever it is, Lord, I'm just surrendering to you. Because being in a relationship with the wrong person is just not a good time. And it's a waste of time.
I agree.
Because you're only getting older. And then this person has no intention of, you know, seeing you the way that God sees you. So it's like, what am I doing with you? So then I decided, you know what, I'm just going to take time to myself. I'm going to give it to God. Because it's hard for me to surrender in that way to God. But I just felt like God was the only way. So then literally 2 weeks after that, I get a communication from Amos, which I thought was just like.
So do you feel like that was an answered prayer from your prayer that you said, God, I'm done, I don't know what, but you did include Amos in that prayer. So was he always on your mind?
He's always been on my mind since I was a little kid.
Okay. Okay.
He has.
So some people, again, from, you know, communication that I got, you know, might say, well, was it a level of you being a little bit obsessed with him that now...
It got to a point where I thought that.
Okay.
I know I'm being really open, but
I appreciate it. Listen, vulnerability is great.
It did get to a point where I questioned myself because I was like, you know what? You know, if it was going to happen, it would have happened already. At least that was my mindset. That's my human mindset. So then I said to myself, I said, I think I even voiced it to him. I was like, you know what? Like, we're good as friends. Like, let's just leave it at that because clearly, you know, maybe it's just not going to work because at this point, I just feel like I'm questioning if what I thought was love was love. Because now I'm starting to think, well, maybe it's just obsession.
Do you think if he was out, you guys would be together?
I don't know.
Okay. That's an honest answer. I appreciate
I have to be honest because, you know, I feel
Does
like...
that upset you that you were out here, you knew how I felt about you, and then it's when you're behind bars that you're reaching out to me? Were you able to kind of... Your love, you were able to kind of overcome that?
I mean, he was always reaching out from time to time to like check up on me just to see how I would always like, I think, he was always reaching out just to check, like ask this person or that person, like, hey, how's Joanna doing? Like, you know, but yeah.
But you feel this man loves you and this is who you want to spend the rest of your life with?
I do.
Okay. I appreciate that. I thank you so much, Joanna, for coming through, for sharing your story. It continues, and I hope that we get more when the wedding happens. My prayer is that, the appeal goes through, that hopefully Amos will be free someday, so you guys can actually have your life together. What are some last few words that you have for our audience watching, for people that might be judging you, or people that might, we're getting some people who saying your unwavering, I can't read English today, unwavering resilience is inspiring. Somebody say powerful story. Somebody said this is a great love story. So there's a lot of positivity too. So what are some last few words that you want to share with our audience?
Try not to cry.
It's okay. We don't have tissue. That's okay. You're crying because you're human, so that's okay.
The fact that people are listening to this story, I really appreciate it. It's very touching that people would even have anything to say about our relationship, especially in the Haitian community, because even when I was a kid, I felt like I wasn't welcome. You guys make me feel welcome, and I really appreciate it. So I just hope and pray that other people will realize that you guys have something very strong here, and that they would continue to support you guys, and also continue to support Amos and I as well. As well as, his book that he wrote. We're very proud of this book here, all the books, but with this book, we're really hoping that changes lives, because it's about diversity and inclusion amongst kids, and we really believe that that's where it starts. Kids between 6 to 10 is the target age on that book, and we want kids to understand that it's okay if you're from a different race, it's okay if you're from a different nationality, but you can still find something to connect with somebody even if they're different from you, like the people on your street. I mean, if these things were practiced as far as teaching kids about diversity and inclusion, there's a lot of things going on in the world right now. I'm not even gonna talk on it, because I don't even know everything that's going on in those other countries right now. But can you imagine, if those people were aware, those children, those grown-ups who are adults now, if they were taught when they're younger about diversity and inclusion, things would be different. And as far as for me, what I'm passionate about with fitness, if people were more aware of, and God says it in the Bible, to treat your body as a temple. And that has also means with fitness, take care of yourself, because you never know what can happen tomorrow.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, as always. I appreciate you agreeing to come and share with us, because I think it takes incredible courage to share your story, something that's so close to heart, and something that, again, you take a risk whenever you share a piece of you. So I really appreciate it. I thank you. I told you I would always respect your story. I would never use it in a way for it to impact you negatively. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of Koze. Tout le monde qui t'a regardé me dit nous merci. Si vous pas fin comprendre tout anglais, jeune demoiselle ça, li non relation avec un jeune homme qui actuellement en prison, mais parce que dans prison ça veut dire la vie finie. Dans le jeunesse où tu gen wa faire erreur et puis qu'on y a wap et on paye temps pour erreur ça ou te faire, mais ça veut dire pas continuer la vie. Jeune homme ça a écrit 3 livres. So The Rainbow Terrace is one, ça son livre pour Timon. My Blue Days Sound Like Blue Jays, that's another one. It's a book of poetry. So vous pouvez acheter tous les 3 livres ça yo dans Amazon. Son jeune haïtien qui est grandi dans la communauté qui fait erreur, mais quand même il a bataille pour freedom ni, parce que il pas quoi qu'il est coupable. So n'a continuer voyer positive énergie by Amos. Nous dit Amos merci, parce que Amos était dans show à commencement, so tu perdu commencement show al garder l'encore pour attendre voir Amos cap dit Jean li remet jeune dame ça. So me souhaite que dans show te jeune bagay qui t'est inspiré, que si vous te pensez ou te perdu espoir pour l'amour, pas perdu espoir parce que l'amour pas gen barrière. So pas jamais connaît qui côté l'amour parlant ka caché, qui côté ka joindre ni. Nous disons merci parce que toujours supporter Boston Caribbean Network, ou toujours supporter Koze. Show ça vient joindre nous chaque dimanche. Nous quand même que Dominique fait Dominique mettez l'histoire écran encore. A flyer qui vient figure là donné. Me dit Dominique, ouais, je pas grimel. Ouais, j'en bas ça paraît Clem dit Dominique m'pas grimel son femme chocolat, cacao qui fier de ça. Ça c'est dans écran il paraît que grimel m'pas grimel pour mon a pensé que nous besoin de grimel. Anyway, je dis Dominique merci parce que me penser son très 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 belle flyer lié pour show am da souhaiter si c'est première fois regarder Koze pas dernière fois, et on continue partager émission ça avec tous les amis, parce que chaque dimanche nous venons avec différents topics qui intéressants mais qui also encourageant. souhaite ou apprendre nos bagages là-dedans tout. So merci parce que vous branchez, moi remets nous en pile, m'a voyé en pile l'amour pour nous toutes. Et si nous gagnons l'autre topic que nous voulons pour nous passer dans un cause, fais-moi connaître. Contactez studio, contactez Dominique, contactez moi-même tout. Fais-moi connaître parce que nous voulons communauté a grandi, nous voulons venir avec show qui va remettre et qui inspire. Merci parce que tu es branché. N'a pour l'autre dimanche, même là, sur Boston Caribbean Network avec Zami ou Mama. N'a l'autre dimanche. Bye.
Dans le moment, posséder une belle machine, c'est ça tout qu'on t'a souhaité. Parfois, il est difficile pour une compagnie qui a une machine bien, qui peut réaliser avec vous, qui sait posséder une bonne machine. Orelov Motors, qui est spécialisé dans la bonne machine neuve à usagers, sous besoin de bon et belle machine, voiture pour camion, contactez-nous quel que soit côté et sur la tête, n'a fait livraison à la caille. Dans Orelov Motors, nous avons une machine et nous avons une machine de qualité, telles que BMW, Mercedes, Toyota, Honda et Latrier. Contactez-nous, nous vendons bon bagaille et au pas cher. Nous chita dans Massachusetts 71, John Fitch Highway Fitchburg, Infoline 978 289 38 75. Ça fait 20 machines au moment, nous sommes mettre question.
BCN, Boston Caribbean Network Television, c'est première télévision communautaire et commerciale qui est là pour promouvoir valeurs culturelles, sociales et historiques pays d'Haïti. Une télévision qui l'a 24/24 pour voir toutes nouvelles nationales et internationales. D'ailleurs, si vous avez aimé produire émission par sur radio ou bien sur télévision BCN, ou t'as aimé nous filmer service dimanche l'église ou pas de problème, juste relais dans 617 290 16 60 617 290 16 60 pour plus d'informations. Et pas oublier, nous sur toutes plateformes tant que Roku, Facebook, Firestick, YouTube et nous sous chaîne 31.3 local. BCN, c'est télévision pour communauté caribéenne.